lot of people have been talking noise about the Big Red. When Raiola slings it, you get on your feet, and I want 4 quarters of smash mouth football!
Welcome, Husker fans. Thank you for tuning in to Big Red Radio, the Husker Talk Show. I'm your host, as always, Caleb. Next to me is my co-host, Zach. How you doing?
Well, we're 4-1. Dylan Raiola. Yeah, a lot of people have said that we're 4-1. Obviously, don't get me wrong, I'd love to be 5-0, but we're 4-1 and we haven't been an underdog yet. That's pretty big. Receiving votes in the AP poll.
Technically, I think like the 30th ranked team in the country right now.
Yeah, currently, if you go off of that. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think, we look like a good team. The fact that the team is upset when we win games 28-10 is a good sign, because 2-3 years ago they would have been, pretty happy with that win. So
yeah, no, for
that's
sure.
big.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into the recap and the preview for the Rutgers game as well. But make sure you follow our socials: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter or X, and Facebook. That's where we put all of our extra content and stuff like that every week. Make sure you like and subscribe as well. Comment down below your score prediction for this week's Rutgers game on Saturday at 3 o'clock. But yeah, let's get into the Purdue recap. So we're going to do our biggest takeaways. I'll do mine first. My first one is that the defense is sort of back. The defense played their best game since Colorado. It's still not where it should be. Purdue is a very bad team. Nebraska completely dominated them, though, for most of the game. There was a few drives where, obviously, the touchdown drive, and then the first drive out of the half, they drove down the field, kicked a field goal. They didn't tackle great in some spots, Nebraska, but the pass D looked really good with the pass rush, and then the run D looked amazing. Maccabee, Purdue's running back, who went for like 170 on Nebraska a couple of years ago, did like nothing. Obviously, we had the John Bullock pick 6. I feel much better about the defense than I did a week ago, for sure.
Yeah, my first take goes along with kind of that. It's that the offense is a legit offense. So much so that, our thing used to be like, all we can get is up the middle yards. And now Matt Rule says that's our biggest weakness. We can't get the tough yards. Our tough yards are got the, end arounds, jet sweeps, speed sweeps, short passes. But also, people cannot seem to guard our receiving core. Jamal Banks, Isaiah Nair, Jalen Lloyd, Corey Barney, Thomas Fedoni, Alex Bullock, you throw Heinrich in there. Carter Nelson even got a run. There's a lot of really, really explosive players back there. And so it's an explosive offense that we haven't seen since, explosive players, Casey Thompson and
Trey Palmer.
Trey Palmer, yes. But explosive offense, you're thinking back to Jordan Westerkamp, Kenny Bell, Tommy Armstrong type days for explosive offense, with like Amir and all them, is what it looks like right now.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little better.
Yeah. Speaking of Amir, Emmett Johnson is earning more run. Obviously, he's not Amir. I don't want to say he's even the new starter. I think Matt Rule mentioned that, you want to keep him fresh. So in late games, he's still explosive. He can break off those long runs when the defense is tired. Dante Dowdle is kind of the power back at the beginning, set the tone. I kind of like the rotation going right now. But Emmett Johnson looked really good late in that game. And he was a big reason why Nebraska pulled away in the end. They just couldn't stop him. He's the best running back at turning 5 yards into 15 yards. And like a 0-yard gain into a 5-yard gain. Like, he can make people miss. Dowdell doesn't really do that much. Even Ramir Johnson, who's quick, kind of has troubles making people miss. He's getting tackled on the first guy a lot. But yeah, he's gonna earn. Emmett Johnson's gonna earn more touches, and I think it's gonna look closer to a split backfield with rushing carries. We kind of already had a split backfield with Ramir and Dowdle, but Ramir was kind of just the receiving back. Dowdle was getting all the running work, and then sprinkle a little bit of Emmett Johnson in there as well. I think it's going to start looking like a little split because Emmett Johnson looks explosive.
Yeah, which I'm honestly okay with. I don't think we need a true like starting running back. This is who we run all the time. I think when you have guys like Dowdle and Ramir and Emmett Johnson, even Gabe Irvin back there, I think you can run three backs at all times. And so I think that's okay. I don't think there's anything to be discouraged about that. I think it's a really good problem to have that we have too many backs that we can throw in there at any time.
Yeah.
And so I guess into my second, and I guess this is probably our final takeaway, right?
Yeah, I got a quick one, but
Okay.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So my second one is that, Nebraska can now win dirty football games. In the past, you look like Michigan State last year, 2021 Iowa, Purdue a few years ago. I think that was 21 Illinois, the Northwestern overseas game, the Minnesota game last year in week 0. Those were all like dirty games that, either a lot of penalties or something happened here or something happened there. Just not a crisp, clean football game. And every single time we tend to come out on the losing end of them. It was 0-0 at half, right?
Mm-hmm.
And penalty after penalty, stoppage here, injury here, just did not look clean at all. And, we found a way to come out and win, and not only win, but win by, a decent margin, especially for it being 0-0 at half.
Yeah.
28 points and a half. It's a lot. It's pretty good. And so, I think this team really is turning the tide here.
Yeah, and that was actually my last point was Nebraska loses this game last year. I mean, you can even tell not just the fact that the offense has the ability to score quick. There was one point where Nebraska scored 14 points in less than a minute with the pick six and the Joy Barney touchdown, but the mentality just seemed like it changed. Like it was 0-0 at halftime. Fans were, I don't want to say panicked, but fans were kind of like, this is terrible. Like Purdue is an awful team. Nebraska, they talked about it after the game. They weren't panicked at all. Like, it's not where they wanted to be, but they knew that it's still a 0-0 game. It's just a fresh start. And they came out, Purdue kicked the field goal, Nebraska scored 28 unanswered, like you said. Getting to the Rutgers game, we'll talk about score predictions later. I am shocked that Nebraska is a 7-point favorite in this game. It's definitely not what I expected, but getting to the keys, my first key to the Rutgers game is you have to tackle well. Monangai, the Rutgers running back, was an all Big Ten level running back last year. He looks better this year. His biggest trait is he breaks tackles like crazy. He runs hard. If you remember Isaiah Pacheco at Rutgers, same kind of style. Just keeps his feet moving, doesn't stop running. He will punish you if you don't tackle on the first attempt. I was watching the game last week when they played Washington, and there was one play where they were on their own 2-yard line, and Monangai got the ball, broke 2 tackles, breaks like a 40-yard run. And if you tackle him on the first try, that's a gain of nothing. So Nebraska needs to tackle well, and if you stop the run against Rutgers, you're in a good spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have not only that running back, but their quarterback isn't necessarily a scrambler quarterback, but he definitely is mobile. He's out there more to run like the RPO and whatnot, but I mean, he can definitely take off with it too. I think there's a couple decent ones back there. The one is obviously, the top tier, but and a really good O-line. But my first key to the game is you got to learn how to win the close ones. To be honest with you, we've only really had one close game this year, Illinois, and we lost, right? Last year, we didn't really find a way to win any close ones. We lost to Minnesota. We lost to Michigan State. We lost to Iowa. We lost to Wisconsin. We lost to Maryland. Um, the games we did win, we kind of blew them out, and that's kind of been since the 3-9 season that we all love to talk about. That's kind of
Best
been
3-9
the
team ever.
right. It's kind of been the way Nebraska is, right? We're gonna play you really close, but at the end of the day, you're probably gonna win it.
Right.
This game is gonna be close, very close. This game could be a 3-point game, but you got to find a way to go out there and win it. And so that's my first key.
Yeah. So my second one is you have to control the clock. Rutgers lives off controlling the clock. They do not like to pass the ball. They can do it. They're okay at it. They're averaging just 204 passing yards per game. It's a small sample size, but against Power 5 opponents, they're only averaging 160. The offense got outgained by like 200 yards last week against Washington. Washington ended up, missing 3 field goals, and they lost by 3. So if you force Rutgers to get out of their element where they can't run the ball and they're one-dimensional, they're not. I don't want to say they're not a very good football team, but they're not what they want to be. And if Nebraska can run the ball early, get a lead, hold that lead, control the clock, I think you're going to be okay. I think you're going to be okay.
Yeah, yeah. My next one is you didn't say sustaining drives, did you?
I mean, that was kind of what I was talking about, but you can go deeper into it.
Yeah, so that's what mine is, just straight up sustaining drives. Rutgers is not going to allow big plays. It's just not what they do. Uh, they haven't done it all year. They've allowed people to go down and score.
Right.
Washington was 1 for 5 in the red zone,
Yeah.
and so you got to sustain drives and you got to score on those drives. We're not going to get big plays. You can't be scared about that. 4 yards here, 5 yards here. That's cool. They're going to try to, do that and then bleed our defense, and they're just tire us out, and that's how they're going to win the game. That's how they win a lot of games, and they're really good at doing it. I think right now we're pretty used to, oh, it's 3rd and 7. It's okay. We'll find a guy over the middle, deep. But this time it's like, you got to get to like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2,
Mm-hmm.
3rd and manageable, and sustain those drives and be able to bleed their defense out as well. Because then the explosive plays will open up if you can
Yeah.
bleed their defense out.
Yeah, because Rutgers is really good at sustaining drives. I think they're like 51% on
Mhm.
3rd down, which is what Matt Rule was saying earlier today. Um, but my last one, it's an obvious one. You have to improve the special teams. Rutgers is known for blocking kicks and punts and being really good on special teams. Obviously, that's been a problem for Nebraska this year. As I said, Washington missed 3 field goals last week, ended up losing by 3. If it gets to 4th and 2, 4th and 1, in your own red zone, driving in your own territory, you have to really think about going for it. Like, you cannot put that in your kicker's hands, especially after last week. I know you don't want to butcher the kid's confidence, but you got to think about winning these games. And if you go out there and miss 2 more field goals, not only is it less points that you're missing out on, but the momentum is just horrible. I'm talking mainly the kicking game. I think special teams as a whole, I wouldn't say it's been a positive, but it hasn't been a negative. Like punting, Brian Buschini's been really good this year. I'm even a fan of IGC returning punts. He's very clean with it. He gets about 7 yards of return. That's better than what we had last year. We were fair catching everything last year. But if we can just figure out the kicking game, the snaps, the kicks, the holds, we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be. I mean, as I've said after every point, I think if we can do all these 3 things, Nebraska's going to be in a really good spot this game.
Yeah, my final one is just like I had stated before, getting the tough yards. Uh, like I said, we got to get to 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2. We can't always rely on a Ja'Cory Barney, jet sweep
Yep.
around the edge. You got to be able to run, your big backs up the middle. Our O line's kind of beat up right now, and so we got to be able to go downhill and get the tough yards. Get the 4th and 1, get the 3rd and 2. Make the 2nd and 5, a 3rd and 2, and then get that. In the red zone, got to be able to get those as well. You got to get the tough, hard yards out there. That's how you're going to win this game.
Yeah. So now getting to our score predictions. As I said, Nebraska's currently, as of Monday night when we're recording this, a 7-point favorite with an over-under of 41. So the score prediction that Vegas is predicting is a Nebraska win 24-17. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 24-21 here. I don't think that we beat them by 7. I think they're a really good team. I do think we win though. I just don't think it's by that big of a margin. I think this is the one where we find out how to win the close game, which shows us how we win the close game against who else do we have? Indiana. USC.
We'll see if Ohio State's a
Iowa.
close game, but
Yeah, hopefully.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin, Iowa, games like that. This game is how you gotta figure out how to win games like that. And so I think that's finally going to be the one where we figure out how to do it.
Yeah. So my prediction, I think Nebraska has a really good chance to make a statement in this game. After the Illinois loss, people kind of wrote off Nebraska. As we've seen, Illinois is a pretty good team. They lost to Purdue, or lost to Penn State 21-7, only lost by 14. We're tied 7-7 at the half. Rutgers is coming into Lincoln undefeated. Nebraska winning, could push them right back into the light. So I think maybe another ranking heading into next week if they win. I think Nebraska gets it going early. I think the pass game gets going. I think the defense comes out strong. I think, Nebraska forces a few 3-and-outs. I think Nebraska is not only the best defense that Rutgers has faced all year, but the best offense as well. I think they're easily the best team. I don't think Washington is that good of a team, and Washington took them to the end. A missed field goal at the end would have tied it. So I think Dylan's going to have success. As I said, Will Rogers, Washington's quarterback. I think Dylan Raiola is better already than him. I think Nebraska jumps out early. I think they jump out to a 14-point lead to start and kind of get Rutgers out of their element. And I think Nebraska wins this 31-17. I think they cover the spread. I think that would be, the over would hit too. Nebraska's 4-1 against the spread this year. Obviously, they were favored against Illinois and ended up losing that one, so that's the one. But then I think after that game, Nebraska heads into the bye week. Looking forward to a top 25 matchup as long as Indiana takes care of business against Northwestern this week in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and that'll be huge. I think that one's at home again, right? Or is that at Indiana?
It's at Indiana.
Okay, at Indiana.
Which Indiana, it'll probably be tougher than Purdue.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Except for the train horn.
Yeah. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave a like, hit the bell. We will be back next week. Make sure you watch Bet the Mortgage coming out later this week for all the bets we have coming up. We're pretty good on the year. But yeah, Zach, you got anything else?
Not right now.
All right. Without further ado, go Big Red.
If we die, we die! If we die, we die!